Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to yet another episode of Know the Therapist. I'm Jennifer. I'm a counseling psychologist and I am the host of the show. So, today we have yet another guest who is also a counseling psychologist. Her name is Regina and she will be joining us in just a few seconds. So, I hope you're excited. I'm glad you've made it. I'm glad that you're watching this and you are going to get a lot of value out of this experience. So yeah, very excited to have you here and very excited to have Regina. She should be joining right now and we will get started. If you have any questions, always remember that you can send them in the comment section of this video and they will be responded to before the end of the live. And you should probably get a pen and a paper. You might hear something that might be valuable and you might want to write that down so that you can apply it in your life. So this is a wonderful opportunity to do that. As we wait for Regina, I hope you've all had a wonderful day and everything is going well on your end. I hope you have enjoyed the day. This live. So yes, we're waiting for Regina to join the live. Hi, therapist Ingrid. Thank you for joining the live, for coming through. Ingrid was our previous guest. She was wonderful. You can go and watch her episode once you're done with the live and hear some of the things that we spoke about. It was a wonderful session. So yeah, I'm waiting for Regina. She should be here any minute now. And then we'll get started. If you have any questions, kindly put them in the comment section and we'll respond to them as I mentioned. Yeah. If you have any feedback for me about this show and some of the things that we are doing, some of the things we're talking about, how you're finding value out of them, I'll be excited to hear that as well. Yeah. So I'm not sure where Regina is because it's already past time. I think Regina is having a challenge. Joining the live. Hi, Regina. Are you able to join the live? I can see you've been able to get in. Oh, yes.
Ha, okay.
You have to
So,
turn your camera.
all right. Finally. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Thank you for joining the live. I hope you can hear and
Oh,
see clearly.
yeah, I can hear you clearly. I can see you. I hope you can do the same too.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure.
Awesome,
Very,
awesome.
yeah, visible and audible. Fantastic.
All
So,
right.
let me take this opportunity to officially start the live. Everyone, hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm a counseling psychologist and the host of Know the Therapist. And today I am joined by the wonderful Regina. She is a psychologist as well, and she will be telling us a bit about herself, about her work, and how she got to be the person that she is today. So if that is something that you're curious about and would like to know more of, this is a good time to stick around and invite somebody, send this link to somebody so that they can also get to hear this conversation and get to hear us talk about mental health and the profession of being a therapist. So yeah, that's exactly what we'll be doing. Um, Regina, karibu sana. This is a good time for you to tell us how your day has been, how you are doing, and probably introduce yourself to the audience.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for extending this invite to me. It's my first time to be live on IG.
I
Okay,
am
so
glad I am the first person making you do this. I am so happy to hear.
yeah, yeah. So I'm so excited to be here, and I really appreciate and I love the work you do. Because, the first time I saw your page, I was like, finally, someone thought this is the right idea, just knowing you therapist. Because
Yeah,
sometimes, like I remember when I was looking for a therapist myself, long time ago, I
yeah,
didn't know where to go. So I asked someone from my church who referred me to someone. So I was thinking if I had seen this earlier, it would have been better because I'll have gone through all your posts, then I'll have come with an idea. Maybe let me try this one, at
yeah,
least having experienced that person firsthand, even if it's live just before just walking into an office. So
yeah.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you, and I'm happy, so excited to be here today.
Mhm.
My day has been quite okay, quite fine, busy here, up and down, work, clients and here, there. So what I can do today, it's been a good day, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be here. Yeah, that's what I can say about today. I never I never have a challenge in my life. I always say so. I don't like pronouncing any challenge in my life because I want to speak of what has been good. It keeps me positive and keeps me energized and encouraged.
Yeah.
So I'm here today and I'm excited to be here with you.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's awesome to hear. I'm so glad that you found value out of this the content that you've been putting out from the very beginning. Because as you said, finding a therapist is one of the hardest things. Because I remember I even asked this in our WhatsApp group. I asked people, "What is the hardest thing about therapy, you guys?" And they were like, "Finding a therapist is the hardest part. It's not even
Mhm.
doing the job; it's finding a
Yeah.
therapist." And I
Mhm.
think I trust that we are helping relieve that challenge with the content that we're putting out so that people can finally stop saying atujui our therapist wako wapi.
Mhm.
We want to end that
Yeah, yeah.
story because it's becoming an impediment to people actually getting the help that they need. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to hear that you found value out of our content way before you got to be a guest on the show. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about how you started your work as a therapist. How did you end up where you are today? Walk me through the story of your life, if that is, yeah, if that's how I can put it. Walk me through the story of
The
your life.
story of my life. What I'll
Yes,
say,
and we
it's
love
quite
details.
interesting.
We love
I
details.
love it.
I
I
told
love
you. Yeah,
Yes. And it's quite an interesting story because I didn't even go to school to do therapy or psychology in the first place. So my first degree actually is BCom accounting. I went and did BCom accounting. But then what I remember as a child growing up, I always have these the way people behave intrigues me. I just wonder why. Why do you behave that way? What is exactly happening? And I find it's kind of weird, but I find it interesting to know what people are thinking about, what is just going on in their mind. But then I didn't know what it was to do. Actually, the time I came to discover about therapy, psychology, I was like, wow, I wish someone talked to me this early, maybe in high school, because I would have chosen to go do psychology straight away. I would not have gone to do become accounting, because actually my choice was to do medicine from the start, and I only wanted to take it in Nairobi University only, not anywhere else. So I didn't get to meet the points. I got an A minus, so I didn't get to qualify to go do medicine. I wanted to do surgery. So here I am. I went, did a BCom accounting. Then after I completed my degree, came out to the market and start looking for a job. Of course, yes, I secured a job. Then I said, this is the greatest opportunity. I'll have the money to pay for what I want to do, what I wanted to do. Now then I discovered there's something about therapy, there's something about psychology, human behavior. It was so interesting. And every time I sat with people talking, I realized, oh, we could talk something and come up with a solution. We could strategize and find solution to this problem. Then I was like, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. I should try it. But then before I got to the trying, I'll say it's been a roller coaster of life. Because I think you get out here and you have, life comes at you, so many challenges. You're out of school, no one to take you, no one to guide you, you're just here. Let me say you are in Nairobi or wherever you are, just trying to figure it out. How do I go about this? So challenges come. Then, wacha nikwambie, the worst part of it, you get into relationship and they break you 50 times. Then you're like, wow, I think I need to do something about it. So I will not say actually it's a relationship that pushed me, but I always used to wonder why people behave this way. Okay, if I thought it was right to behave this way and you thought to you it was right, what sets us apart? What really sets us apart? Then this question kept coming. And then the first time I just go online, then I see something about coaching and I'm wondering, what exactly is coaching? Then I start investigating. Then I find a school in Kenya that teaches coaching because I could only find outside the country. So when I found the school, I was like, I want to inquire about it. It's called Destiny Life Coaching. That's why I did my first certificate in coaching actually back in 2019. So I realized this coaching, I go take a certificate in coaching, I do 4 months, then I think then that's where it hit me. What exactly was happening in my life and who is Regina actually? So I'm thinking, wow, okay, that's how it goes. Okay, that's why I behave that way. Okay, this is how I think. Then now it came clear. There's something behind just what we see. You know, when you meet someone, you just see their physical self, what they say, but you cannot trace back behind what is behind this facade you see every day. So then I did my coaching. Then when I did my coaching, I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a psychologist and that's what I want to do. So now I went back to school. I did a diploma in psychotherapy purely. And then I also went and did now a diploma in diploma in counseling and psychology. So that's why I am. I can say those are my qualifications. Certified coach, yes, I have a diploma in psychotherapy and I also have a diploma in diploma in counseling and psychology. So that's how I started actually. So I went to school and I started analyzing myself. Then I was like, oh yeah, that's why I did this way. You know, when you go through those theories and you're like, that makes a lot of sense. That is so me. Then we go to this thing about attachment styles and you're like, oh, am I secure? Am I anxious? Am I avoidant? What is really happening? I think I'm avoidant. I think I'm scared. Then you're like, oh yeah, this is how people feel. Then now you start understanding. So actually after that, I started practicing my therapy and coaching back in 2019 at the end of the year. Just when COVID was coming, that's when I started practicing it. And then I got my first paying client in the year 2020. And we did, how do I put it? I think that's the thing that validated me most. Actually, I was doing something because every time I did, I was like, am I even getting this thing? What is happening? Am I solving problems? What am I really doing? Then I got my first paying client, and in the first 3 weeks, we had a breakthrough. I'm like, yes, now I figure things out and everything. And then that's how I started. It's been back since 2020 up to date. Then I'll maybe to just get it better with myself, I'm also going back to school to do masters in counseling and psychology. Because I think this is a field I've realized a lot of us we don't really get to have the services. And I want to create that awareness that when you know yourself better, there's nothing that can beat that. Understanding yourself and knowing yourself and everything. Because through it, I got really to understand who is Regina. Why do I behave the way I behave? Why do I face the problem I face? And why do I resolve them the way I do? And just to touch on that, I think now going through I talk a lot. In case ukisikia nimeenda sana, you tell me to pause a little.
No, it's fantastic. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want your clients to know you, and this is a wonderful platform for you to do that. So keep going.
Yeah. So now, after I've done through this, maybe now, what really pushed me to do exactly therapy? Now, after doing this and everything, I think I was also looking to meet a need inside me. And sometimes I tell people, what you pursue, if you look at it clearly, there's a need you're trying to meet. There's something you're trying to achieve. And the moment you get to achieve it, it's easier for you to move to some other thing. And I think this is going back to now, when I look at it, going back to how I was raised. Why was I asking this so many questions? Because first, I tell people proudly, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. But I think from that, it broke me and it made me in a way. And when I carry out therapy, I tend to tell my clients, whatever you think it's a problem you've encountered, it broke you at one point, but it built you. Why do I say that? Because you see, when you meet challenge, of course, you develop mechanism to cope with the challenge. It's either going to be constructive or it's going to be destructive at the end of the day, either on the side. So what happens is, most of the time, the brain tends to focus more on the destructive part because you don't get to see the hope that it could have a light at it. And when I do my therapy, most I focus on that. Yes, this happened to you. This is your story. But how can we turn this story to a victory out of it? You might have gone through this, but there's something that came out of you. There's a lesson you learned. There's a skill you developed. There's a mechanism that came up while you were going through this. So for me, I'll say actually, the idea behind therapy more was to solve my own problem, to try find out what was happening in my life. And I was just saying that I'm one person who grew up in a dysfunctional family. Of course, I will not want to discount other people's experience, but I think I had it. I had an experience there. I had one, and it was not an awesome. I will not say, I will not even wish anyone that. So, my mom had me at 15 years. She was 15. She was still in school, class 7. And then the way she tells the story, she gets knocked out by this boy. She doesn't even know the second name of this boy. There's these people you meet and then you're like, oh, I like you. You're still young. You don't know this thing. And then one thing leads to the other. The next thing, you're pregnant. And I guess that's why I still don't know who my dad is up to date, because she doesn't even know herself. So then from there, she has to drop out of school. Then she gets married again. Then she goes to stay with the husband. But then again, things don't turn out how she expected. And then the life sometimes I tend to tell her, we chat with her and we laugh about it. It's a story of suffering. Then the suffering starts. She's left home. My dad was an alcoholic. I will say that. Complete alcoholic. He was always drinking all the times I remember. So probably didn't provide anything at home. And sometimes I tell people we could go for a whole week without food, and they're like, and you didn't die? Yes, we didn't die because we took water. Sometimes you just sleep the whole day. And it was such a story of suffering. And I guess as a kid, you get to experience humans from a different kind of perspective, because you don't understand why do this. Because I remember those days I used to ask myself, Yani, we could just be sleeping here angry, then no one really sees. No one really cares, actually. That's what I used to feel. No one really cares, because you see, my dad is the last born. He has brothers. The brothers are well off. Then sometimes we could even sneak there to see whether we could get some food. Then we are chased away, the way you chase a dog with, get out of here, And then I used to wonder, why are humans like that? So that's what actually kept on pushing me. Like, why? You see, like a kid, you don't get to understand. But now I can understand, of course, if you don't want to do something, it's okay. But as a kid, I'm like, I expect you to do this because my mind has not really developed to conceptualize all these things. So that was clearly our life. It goes on, it goes on, it goes on, it goes on. So that's it. I don't know, I don't know whether I can touch and put a day where I ever saw our family being functional at all. My dad was always drinking, coming home late, singing, talking. Abby says we were home, sleeping hungry. No one went to school. Actually, no one has gone to school in my family apart from me. And it's only that I happened to get a scholarship. Then I got to go to school because my dad could not pay school fees. And I didn't even expect him to afford it when he could not even afford to, food. And then most people ask where my mom was. I also ask, even me, I ask my mom, where were you? So what were you doing? Because I'm trying to think now I'm a mother of 2 kids. And I'm thinking if my husband didn't provide, will I just sleep with my kids there for days without food? I don't think I can do that. I don't think it is in me to do that. But when I look at, I think this is a woman who was sold a narrative, a different narrative about, what is expected of a family, what is expected of a man, and what is expected of a woman. But then she was not told, what if these things don't work? What then happens? So I say she was a bit stuck there. She didn't know what to do. And, she could just move from one homestead to another, to study unga, some maize to cook, blah, blah. And, people get tired. They're like, every day you're just borrowing. They get tired and they see you and they lock the door. It happens so many times. And then she'll be like, today I didn't have anything. So, guys, we're just going to sleep like that. So it was our life until I left and went to boarding school. Yeah. And then I think now from there, I feel like that really affected the person I am. Like it molded me. It taught me how humans are. And for a long time, I thought I was an introvert, but actually I'm not. I was just scared of people. I could not just interact with them because my first interaction with humans was like, we don't care, no one really cares. You are not safe. And that builds you as a different person. And now then I got to understand my character. Now going through therapy, processing my own issues, I got to understand, why am I like this? When you come to me as a friend, you reach out, I'm like, what could this person be looking for? That has always my default setting. The moment you're like, hi, Regina, I'm like, okay, here we go again. What does this person want? Because I have never imagined a world where someone will just take on you for you being just hi because they want to say, what is behind the hi? Why do you want to be my friend? Why are you coming to me? So I kept on analyzing these things and I realized I had this default setting that people cannot be nice to you just for nothing. And then you see now when you grow in such an environment and you see these things and then it's like every day it's repeated. You see how they treat us. That's how people are. So when you get to things, you know how to deal with people, the parents keep insisting them. And I think that's why I focus on my work of therapy. I clearly focus so much on the inner child work, trying to bring out that child that didn't get to experience the world the way it's supposed to be. And, trying to analyze what is this trait you develop, what is your personality, how did you experience building as a person? And I look at it, is it working for you? And is it not working for you? Like for me, when I look at myself as an example, when I look at someone saying, hi, Regina, how are you? I was just saying hi. As much as the first thought that comes into my mind is, what exactly do you want? I have to shift and think, oh yeah, people say hi to people. They don't really need to need something, we can have a conversation. Then I get now to engage, now I get that to open my heart to engage them. But it's time to be like, hi, so I'm like, why does this person, whatever. Like I'm not even concerned, you will even see it on my face. And people used to tell me, you have such a cold face. You are not welcoming. I'm like, whatever. Why am I even welcoming you in my life? Like, what is it? What is it? But then when I look at it the other side, I got to develop something else. Because of whatever was happening in the home and everything, I got to develop like, how do we call it? It's like you can read people's energies. You can gauge emotions and know what is this person experiencing. And actually I find it bothering now because every time I interact with people, I feel like I can feel the emotions through me. I could meet you, you are sad, and the next time I'm so sad, like I'm carrying your emotions with me. And it becomes so overwhelming. So trying to switch this thing, I think it's been the hardest part of my life. Trying to switch people's energies and emotions from affecting me as a person, because I cannot help it. It's like I get into a room and I can just feel, nah, this is not the right place. I meet someone and I can just feel, nah, this is not. So I have to keep reminding myself, okay, maybe you can just give it a chance. Try. But again, I feel like it's so overwhelming. Sometimes I can't handle it. And I think all those things now helped me now get into inner work. How did I become this person? And now that is my specialty, actually. More I focus on the inner child work, trying to bring that child out, trying to process your experiences, understanding what kind of a person you are. And then from there now, what can I pick from these mud? I call it mud or dust. What can I collect? What are those pieces of diamond and gold inside this dust? And when I pick them, let's shine with them.
Yeah.
Let's shine them. We can leave the dirt aside and shine with the diamonds, because at every single thing you learn something. I tell people, of course, learning from the experience of my mom and what she went through and how she was helpless, I think I'm a better person, because today I won't sit down and, just watch my kids suffer or let myself suffer when I know I can wake up and do something about it. So it pushed me to be kind of an independent person. And now I'm able to work things very fast, to find solutions quickly, to solve problems easier. But again, the downside of it then, being independent then, it means it also gives me a lot of challenges in relationships. Because I'm like, okay, sour then. Like at the end of the day, I feel like there's nothing much I'm being offered here. Because, it's a weird balance. Because, you like, when you're so independent, it becomes really hard for you to depend on other people, to even ask for help from other people. So you might be suffering here, yet you can assist me, but me, I'm just suffering and I'm trying to figure out solution. Yet I will just reach out to you and say, hey, nisaidie kidogo hapa. But because I didn't get to experience that, it becomes really hard. And those are the struggles we go through.
How do you balance those two things? How do you balance those two things of being too independent that you don't seek for help, and being sometimes that you can actually seek help and be somebody who can be helped, and believing that you're worthy of help? How do you balance those two things?
Wow. I think that has been really hard. Really, really hard. I think that is a struggle I have. Before I reach out to that step and just ask for help, it's a whole journey. So what did I practice doing? I just practice doing. When I find something, I try and it's not working for the first time, I give it a second chance. And if it's not working, I have to repeat in my head. It's like an affirmation. Regina, please just walk and ask for help. Regina, look around and see who can help you. It's like literally I'm speaking to my mind. Look around, who can help you? Do you think it can help? Please go ahead. Just walk. Just walk. Say hi. Smile. Hi. I am having a challenge and I really love you. If you could assist me, like I have to go do that. And you see, of course, there are those times you experience, I'm busy. I might not be able to help with that. I'm not in a position to. And then that rejection hits your face. Then you're like, okay, it is it again. Then you're like, I won't even bother to ask again. Let me just keep. But now it's something you keep reminding yourself every day. I don't think like it's something you can break it completely and say, today I am off this and I'm getting this. It's more like a balance. Try today, you fail. Try tomorrow, you fail. The next day, keep trying. So that's what I do today.
Because I think it's very possible to deal with the rejection, in the sense that seeing rejection as not a rejection of you as a person, but maybe of the thing that they can't offer you because they don't have the capacity or the time or whatever. But they're not saying no to you as a person. It's not you. It's not a personal issue. So maybe learning to and not take things personally also helps in that capacity, I guess. I've seen that with clients.
I guess that is so awesome. Actually, I was just thinking about the other day. I was telling someone, when someone says no to what you're offering, either an idea, a request, or something, they are not saying no to you as a person. It's only that they are saying no to
Oops, I think Regina has dropped off the call on this live for a second. Probably a network issue because, as we said, it's not a live if there's no network challenge. So let's give Regina a second to log back in, and then we'll continue with the live. So yeah, I hope so far you are enjoying and you are finding value to the things that Regina is speaking about. And if you are, this is a good time to let us know in the comment section, and you can send your questions, any contribution you want to add to the discussion. This is a good time to put that in the comment section. So yeah, let's give Regina a second to join the live, and then we'll carry on from where we are. So Regina will be back in just a second. Just hang in there. Maybe a good time to grab a drink. Go refill your cup if you are running low on tea or water, whatever was in your cup. This is a good time to go and refill as we wait for Regina to log back in. I'd like to speak on something that Regina touched on, and it's the issue of asking for help. I think it's very important for us to learn that asking for help does not equate to weakness. And when you ask for help, it does not mean that you're a bad person. Regina is back. Thank you, Regina, for coming back.
Sorry. I lost you there. Somebody call.
Yeah.
Pole.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just telling you that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of being a bad person. It is a sign of strength because you're accepting your limits, because you're a human being, and it is totally okay to be human. So it is totally acceptable.
Sure.
Allow me to ask you something about the people that you work with. You mentioned that you do a lot of inner child work and stuff like that. What are the populations you work with? Are there other things that you handle other than inner child work? Walk me through the professional services that you offer.
All right. So I do a lot of inner child work, and I do general therapy. I do issues with dating, relationship, marriages. Actually, I will say the most clients I've met, those who came most through, to me is, in the guise of inner child work, what we ended up covering was more relationship and, marriage issues. And I'll say, as much as my specialty is more of inner child work, and I could just clarify, why do I do more inner child work? Because there's one thing I believe psychologically, that we are molded from the day we are young. The moment you get to land on this world, you start learning. You get messages that are spoken, others are not spoken, rules that are just stated, you don't know, expectations, and then you're raised by people through the ways they know it's right. So of course there's going to be a lot of projection in the process. There are going to be rules, messages, things, and that builds your belief system. And of course, what you believe in definitely is going to affect how you think. And your thoughts will lead to your feelings, your emotions, and from your feelings and emotions, you shall have your behavior coming out. So clearly, as much as the issue might be something, maybe someone is dealing with marriage issues, relationship issues, even work authority issues, career issues, we end up again touching on their belief system. And for us to tap on their belief system, we have to look at their childhood experiences, because those are the things that taught you. We already know that scientifically, let's say from conception to 8 years, that's where the brain of any human is being molded. And at that age, you consciously cannot analyze information. So what you do, you just get, store. And then boom, after 8 years, now you start using that information. So you didn't have the ability to analyze and see what was right for me to keep and what was not right. So you just keep all the information. So I end up again touching into inner child work. So basically, inner child work, I do relationship and dating and marriage counseling sometimes. I've not done career coaching or anything, but basically those 3 areas.
Yeah. What is something that you've learned from your clients that constantly amazes you about the work that you do?
Ooh, I'm never there. I will say that I am never there. The journey doesn't have an end, because every day it's a learning, experience. Today you could come with your story, then through that story and me listening through it and trying to find solution, I just get a trigger from my experiences. Then I'm like, wow, I thought I covered that long time ago. But then I realized, oh, kumbe it never ends. Okay, here we are again. So I get to learn through every story, through every experience I have with my clients. I get to learn something about myself. And I can see, as much as I did therapy before I even started doing my therapy sessions, I think I've even done more therapy through my clients and learning. Like, you just in between a story, then you're like, wow, that really hit a place. And then I'm like, no, I need to check what is happening here. Why did I have this feeling? Why did these emotions come from this? Then from there, I'm realized, oh, baby, kuna kale ka belief. There's that belief I still have, and I need to check it, because of course, if I'm not checking it, then it means I could project my issues to my client. And then I start handling them from my own perception of issues without, being open to what their experience is. So what I can say I've learned is the journey never ends.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think that's very true, because clients are constantly showing you, it's like they hold up a mirror and you're constantly seeing the things that you are or you are or you need to work on. And I think it's a learning moment. It's a learning moment for every counselor. When you mentioned that you went for your own therapy, what was that like? What was your experience with personal therapy? What is your experience with personal therapy if it's something ongoing?
Okay. Wow. My first experience first. I went to a therapist. Okay, I told you I was looking for a therapist. Someone referred me from church. So I went to therapy. And at that moment, I just had my firstborn. I was going through all the emotions of being a mother, this new journey. You don't know. Of course, all of us who are new, we've never raised a child before. Kila mtu ako na believe zake how a family is supposed to be built. No one really knows where to go, and everyone is holding to their own perception. So we are here, and everything was just breaking down from, it's fight after fight. You're having kids, you're having, you're depressed. I was also working. It's my first time in the, the working environment. I'm like, what the hell is this? Then I'm like, wow, oh, there's something called therapy. Nice. So we go in, take into therapy, and I'm here, of course, crying, ranting, venting. And then, okay, one thing, my first experience was not an awesome one, I'll say, because at the end of it, I didn't feel like I was heard. I didn't feel like this person sitting, across the table listened to me. Because every time I'll vent, then I'm like, no, but you see, the Bible says there's this thing about love, there's this thing about marriage, there's this thing about raising kids. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
You're not I used to complain, like, you're not listening. You're not listening to me. You're not hearing what I'm saying. Of course, I understand there are these things you're telling me, but right now, I can't get them in my head. All I want is to scream and you to listen, to hear me.
Yeah.
And maybe just tell me it's going to be okay, or whatever. But I don't want you telling me, when we talk about love,
This is not a Bible session. We are not in Bible study.
I'm not going to be studying. And of course, by then, I'd already started questioning things about religion.
Yes.
And I think this is something I started when I was young, because my mom was quite religious. And she was always pray, go to church. Then I used to ask her, Yani mama tujakula, why are we even going to church? And then I have an instant where sometimes I went to Sunday school, being a kid. Then I was like, kila siku tunashindanga tukipeana sadaka. We give, offerings to the church. But at home we are dying of hunger. We've not eaten. So one day I took the Sandaka myself and said, you know what? Even me, I need it. Like, okay, it was so stupid, but today I look at it and was like, as a child, I was like, we need it more than this
Yeah.
person you're giving. And I feel like this is too much for them. Maybe they could just share a little. So we took and we went to buy mandazi and food and we ate and we were happy with my friend. But then looking at it, so I had already started questioning this thing. Why do you keep telling me this? I need a solution more because I am really suffering. I am not feeling supported in this marriage. I am feeling like I'm failing as a parent. I don't know how to do this. I am also finding it hard to cope at the workplace because it's the first time I'm working with people. And I don't know. We actually did, I think, around 3 sessions. And, I was like, oh, Atlanta, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Let me just go do something. But then later I found another therapist, actually people I work with so closely. And she's been actually my therapist up to date. When I have issues, I'll just reach out. When I'm feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, I need to check in, I need to have a session. And I realize sometimes you need to, as much as you need to align your goals with whoever you're dealing with, you need to find out what kind of therapist you need,
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe for someone coming from church, it will make sense maybe. But I didn't feel like I was offered a solution, but more like being preached to. And it was not solving my problem. Because all of the problem, I wanted to fix my relationship. I wanted to fix my parenting. I wanted to find out how do I cope with these people? How do I cope with the new changes in my life? But then again, I find it a bit hard. How do you tell me to love when I don't feel like, I don't feel like I'm supported here. So it's really a bit hard. So I need to see the support, maybe now to translate to love. So I found it a bit hard. But then when I found the lady, she's called Caroline Mwendwa, we walked every step of the way. And actually, she got also to work with me through my inner child issues, processing the anger, processing the emotions I had held so much. Of course, it was hard for me to deal with men, having my dad as, the person he was. I was like, you know what? You're not going to put me through the life my dad put my mom. You know what? Check out, check out, check out. So it was more like, defense, 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 defense. But with this defense, I'm not able to understand, is this a point in life where I need to put on my defenses? Or is it a point in my life where I need to let my defenses down and face the issues from a point of, you are human, I'm human. We're all different. How do we do this together? So it became hard, but then finally I got to have, the lady who took me through the process.
Oh, okay. Okay. What did that experience, the experience you've had with the therapist that you've had for the longest, what has that taught you as a therapist? Like, what are you learning? And also looking back at the therapists you had in the beginning and the experience that you had with that first therapist, what have those two experiences taught you about being a therapist?
Okay, first, being a therapist, you need to put all your biases aside.
Yeah.
You need to look at this person as, how do I call it? Unaona mtoto akipata a new toy. The way they deal with it, it's not like the old toy they have been having. Or they look at it from a curious mindset, curiosity. Try to know your client, try to understand them. Put yourself in their shoes, be empathetic. Get to understand where they're coming from. Because again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Regina believes in. I cannot push my beliefs to my client. It doesn't matter. So from there, I think I've learned like what I handle my client from an empty mind, completely. I'm blank. I don't know anything. I get curious to understand you. I get curious to hear your story. And I found it really helpful because from there, I can only deal with you from a point of, I don't know anything. My mind is blank. I don't hold any belief at all. I'm just listening to your story and we are looking at what you're presenting.
I think that's an important aspect. To always remember that the client is the expert of their life, and you are there to facilitate change, not to be a head teacher or a prefect who is monitoring their every move. To know that it's a collaborative effort, and your clients are the experts of their lives. I think that usually is a good place to start when it comes to therapy. So yeah, I think that is important, and thank you so much for sharing that. I'm very curious, considering you've mentioned that you do therapy, you do all these things, you are going back to school, you're a parent, you're a mother of two, um, you do the therapy thing on the side and all these things. How do you handle all these things to stay sane? What is your self-care routine?
Wow.
What can we learn and borrow? How do you
Self-care,
survive?
self-care routine. Hey,
Yeah.
I survive. I survive. And as for sometimes I get burnout. Remember, I told you something about being independent,
Yeah.
Remember, I am coming from the perspective where I got to get my things, my ducks in a row. I need to know where I'm going, how I'm going, and how I'm getting there. So sometimes it can really become really hard because, you focus on, I need to make sure my life is secured. And remember still about my background, where I came from. There's no hell way I'm going there back. So it doesn't matter sometimes. And now, remember the way we talked about my dad being alcoholic and not being there. I can become workaholic and not be there. And
Mm.
sometimes you might not realize how these two things are presenting themselves. Someone could be alcoholic, yes, taking them away from the family. Another person can be workaholic, taking yourself away from the family. We are all dealing with similar problems, only presenting them differently. So what I do, because I realize that's something I'm likely to suffer from, because I will have a million things going in my life. I have to have a self-care routine. And one of the things I do is I usually say Saturday is my day off. So Saturdays, I don't do anything at all unless it necessitates, like it's more like an emergency. So what
Yeah.
happens on Saturday, I will sleep in. Probably I'll wake up in the morning. I love listening to music and dancing. That's one thing that helps me relax. So I'll wake up in the morning, put some music, dance a little, do stretches, take a shower, and just hang out in my bedroom doing nothing. Maybe reading a book or something, watching something, or just sitting. So that's one thing I do. I also take some time to just sit. On Sundays afternoon, not afternoon, in the evening, because Sunday is my family day, because I still have to deal with my kids and everyone in home. So Sunday being my family day, I take some time in the evening just to sit down and reflect on the whole week. What has been happening? How did I get to do this? And I also have a sleeping routine. There's a specific time I have to sleep because I can't extend so much. I get home, like today, probably I'll get home a bit late, maybe at 9, take a shower, go to sleep, maybe take some juice and go to sleep until tomorrow. So I've learned to manage my life by taking some bit of time off, some bit of
Yeah.
time. So if Sunday I'm sleeping, if Saturday I'm sleeping in, I'm not doing anything, probably the next Saturday I might go for swimming. Maybe the evening I can hang out with some friends. Like I have to have my time. Saturday is my day to just rewind and relax.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's very important, especially in the way that life in Nairobi can be very busy and hectic,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
things and people are pulling you from all sides, demands on your time, and there's always somebody who wants something from you. So I think that's a capacity to just steal some time for yourself, make sure that you're well, so that you can take care of the people that you handle in your therapy sessions. I think that's quite important, and I hope anybody who's listening will take that as a cue to go and secure their own time where they can take care of their own mental health, where they can take care of themselves physically, to make sure that they are in a good place psychologically. Because as you say, there's no health without mental health. So that is
yes.
something to consider for sure. Um,
Oh,
so we're coming very close to the end of this live session, which has been wonderful. I'm very curious about what you would say to somebody who is listening to you right now, and they have a similar story to yours, in the sense that maybe they grew up in a family with an alcoholic, or they grew up in a family where there was a lot of deprivation. Um, they lacked in their childhood. They feel that there was a lot that they could have gotten that they never did, and most of it came from the side of the parent, who was not entirely able to deliver what was required for them to live a good childhood. And maybe they're holding a lot of resentment and anger towards their parents. Maybe they're holding a lot of bitterness, and they are somewhere where they're still struggling with coming to realization that their parents failed them, and that is something that is still a thorn in their flesh. What would you say to them, considering you are somebody who has gone through therapy, you've been able to handle some of these things for yourself, and you're still working on some of these things? From what you've learned in your time in therapy and in your work with people dealing with inner child issues, what can you say to this person who's listening? Somebody who has that bitterness and anger towards negligent parents, alcoholic parents, parents who are not there emotionally. What would you say to them?
Okay. What I can say is it takes a lot of work, I'll say so. Because I think one thing I've learned, the resentment and anger a child carries is not the same I will carry today. Whatever my son might experience today and how he looks at it is not the same way I will look at it as an adult today. Because remember, I cannot analyze this information and see what is happening behind what I can see. What I will say is it's good to seek therapy. It's good to try process those emotions. Because there's one thing I have learned about people who have had parents who are negligent and everything. We have a lot of anger inside. And sometimes we project that to, other people without getting to understand how did this get there. There's a lot of overreaction. You most of the times you overreact, and especially when you meet with, authority figures, maybe you're at work and your boss is trying to tell you something and you're like, what is this person? Like the emotions that are coming out, they are not really about this person, but they're coming out from behind your experiences. So what I can tell them, try find therapy, process these things. At least now the knowledge is there, process this thing, try to, to investigate your experiences. But one major thing I'll say is, I know it takes a lot of work to get to this point, but imagine your parents tried the best they could. Imagine they also had their own problems. Imagine they were also raised by people who had problems the same way they had, and they didn't know better. They didn't know better because everyone struggles, mentally. They were going through issues, and the only way they could have processed, them is through, either projecting their anger and beating you, maybe going to alcohol, maybe abandoning you. They didn't know better. But now, because we are in the world of awareness and we know better, what do you do with yourself? Check out for therapy, There are some self-development books you can find, knowledge is there, talk to people. And I even know sometimes I even offer therapy for free, especially certain cases I can pick someone and just take them through it for free as, just a way of giving back to the society. Find those things, try process them and process them from a point of love. I know it doesn't come easy, but at the end of the day, you'll get to understand these people didn't even know better. That one I can tell you for sure. They didn't know better. That's how they knew it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important to realize that your parents were not punishing you, or they were not doing these things to be mean to you.
Mm-hmm.
They were working with what they had at the time, and extending a little bit of grace to them for the people they were, seeing them as flawed humans, because they were flawed humans, and we are all flawed humans, and just extending a bit of grace to them. Not necessarily saying that you have to forgive and forget. I don't know if that would work. You can't forget abuse and negligence, but extending grace and realizing that they did the best with what they had, and they were flawed human beings, and you can always get to a place of forgiveness at your own time. So get therapy, read, listen to people who speak about these things. Do not sit in your room in isolation thinking that these things are just going to clear on their own. You actually have to work hard at getting your life into a better place. So holding on to the resentment, that does not make your life better in any way. So yeah, I think that's something that's a very good message that I would echo. So now, as we come to the end of this live recording, Regina, it's been so wonderful. I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to your story, hearing about you, hearing about the work that you do. Are there any resources you would like to refer our audience to check out to make their lives better, in case they are looking to become more self-aware, self-development stuff? Are there resources that you would highly recommend that they have a look that I can share with them today?
Okay. I will recommend therapy first. That is
Yes.
good. It's a good place to start. But in case you're not there, I think I wrote something down. Um, I like Oasis Africa. Oasis Africa is a
Yeah.
counseling center. It's it's around Wayaki Way. I've interacted with, I think, around 4 therapists from there, and I will highly, highly recommend them. I will
Yeah.
highly recommend them. I've worked with them. Then, in case you're not able to, to do therapy, like if you want to venture in inner child work, there's some author is written several books on, therapy, healing, inner child work. It's called
Yeah.
John Bradshaw.
Oh yeah.
John
Yeah. I
Bradshaw
like
has
John
written a
Bradshaw.
book. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love John Bradshaw. Especially Healing the Shame That Binds You. That book is fantastic.
Exactly. Healing the
Yeah.
shame that binds
Yeah.
you. He has also the other book, Homecoming. Read them, trying to relate to your story. And then we have Dr. Nicole. Dr. Nicole, How to Do the Work.
Oh yeah. Yes, I loved that book when I read that. Yeah.
How to Do the Work. It's really an awesome book. It's an
Yeah.
awesome book you can read. And then there's another book called It Didn't Start With You. It
Yeah.
Didn't Start With You. This is by Mark Wolynn. Wow, this is quite interesting, and I love it. These
Yeah.
things you're experiencing, they didn't actually start with you. They are long in family line. Just try to investigate. There's one thing I do with my clients, especially when we are doing inner work. We like to go and look at our families, and I call it the family tree. So we go behind and analyze everyone in that family. Try to see, what did these people struggle with? Is it sickness? Is it? Then we start now creating the patterns. We
Yeah.
create the patterns. And why am I doing this? You need to understand this thing didn't start with you. And
Yeah.
I think that's what Mark tries really to bring out. This thing didn't start with you. So don't beat yourself down just because you can't figure it out. It actually didn't start with you. But you can be brave to be the person who breaks the cycles. You can be brave to be the
Yeah.
person who changes your whole lineage, start afresh, start anew. So you can get to Oasis Africa, look at their services, read some books, ukitafuta online websites. Like nowadays, this is the gospel. I think so. Unless I'm living in my own world, I find everywhere I go mental illness. See what. Simple parenting. I look at this shadow work. I look at this one, spirituality, like there are resources all
Yeah.
over. So you
Yeah.
only need to show interest. And one thing I realized today, if you go online and search something about healing, inner work, inner child work, tomorrow you will wake up and you find a line everywhere. They
Oh
speak
yeah. The
therapies.
algorithm
You
will
will,
know.
yeah,
The
then it will
algorithm will know your
start
behavior
flowing.
and they'll start sending
Yeah,
you that.
they start sending you that. You see, so the information will be there. You will even learn about a lot of people you didn't know.
Yeah.
Therapy who, you in a child. You will get the information. So what you only need to is the curiosity to find out. The
Yeah.
curiosity
Yeah.
is going to get you there. If you cannot get, maybe to find a therapist. But again, we have you page here, know you
Yeah.
therapist. So every day or a Wednesday, a day like this, there's always
There's
some person
always a
talking
therapist.
about some, and I'm
Yeah.
so sure they will always recommend. So if you follow them and the recommendations, at the end of the day, you'll have a lot of information and where to start.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
There's one book that I think I would highly recommend. I did a series on it on YouTube. It's called Adult Children of Emotionally Mature Parents. It's by
Oh yeah.
Dr. Lindsay Gibson. It's actually a wonderful book. And if you are looking to understand some stuff from your childhood, it would be a wonderful resource for you to read. But if you don't have the time to read, don't worry. I read it for you and I made a series of videos about it. And I will be linking those in the description box of this video so that you can check out some of those videos and hear the stuff that I got from the book and how it can help you and some of the actions that you can take out of the information that I expounded. So it's a 10-part series. It's free of charge. I am not charging you for anything. You can check that out. It's in the description box as well. I'll be linking everything that Regina has told us so that we all get to know these things, because ignorance is no longer an excuse these days, because you can get all the information. So your work becomes applying some of these things that we're talking about. So yeah, thank you, Regina, for those those recommendations. Definitely, I'm sure somebody will pick out something. And even if you're listening and you only pick one thing, pick that one thing and work on it. You will be far ahead than anybody who just looks at these things and walks away. So pick one thing, work on that, focus on it for the next 6 months, see how it works, and then move forward. That is totally acceptable. If you have the capacity, if you have the finances, if you have the opportunity, the time, you can go and seek therapy. That is always a good idea. So Regina, how can people get in touch with you if they are looking to work with you? Somebody is listening and they're thinking, oh my gosh, Regina is the best. I want to work with Regina in therapy. How can they get in touch with you?
Okay, everywhere you search on social media, you definitely find therapist and coach Regina Nthenya. Those are my names. The moment you just type therapist and coach Regina Nthenya, you'll always find my face there. And I'm active on social media. Yeah. You can look at my Facebook. I call myself Nthenya Nyambosero. You can find me anywhere. I'm always advocating therapy. You know, conscious relating with people, you know, conscious parenting, you know, doing your inner work, doing your shadow work, you know. I am always advocating you gotta get you know, the best of this life out of you. You gotta experience this moment now, because we'll say this tomorrow. So if something is bothering me today, I cannot say I'll wait for next week and I will sort it out. No, if it's bothering me today, I need to start doing something about it. And there's one trick I always tell people. Today, if you start drinking 1 liter of water, you only need to stick to that habit for the next 21 days. And after 21 days, it will always come automatically. And there's science behind it. Of course, the brain always finds the shortest way to do things. And that's why we create habits. That's why today you don't need to know how to, you know, to brush your teeth. The moment you just learned it, it's stuck. And that's how you've been doing it. Today you just know, ata ukilala, the shoe you put on the right and the left, you just know. Because that's how the brain works. So it's a wonder, you know. I tell people your brain is unlimited. You can't limit it. Pick one habit. If you pick something today from this, like just pick one habit and say today, maybe I don't do self-care. From today, every afternoon, I'll make sure, you know, I take some time to reflect on my day. Do it for the next 21 days. From there, you will be doing it automatically. So pick an habit and start on it. Fantastic. See how it goes.
Fantastic. So everybody, you can find Regina at therapist and coach Regina Nthenya, and you can get in touch with her if you're looking for a therapist. She's right here. If you're looking to do some work on your inner child, she's right here, and she's fully available. So thank you very much, Regina. This has been so wonderful. I have enjoyed hearing about you, hearing about your story, getting to know you, getting to introduce you to the people who follow Infinity Wellness Consultants, getting to introduce you to the Kenyans who are looking for therapists and knowing now that they know their therapist. So I'm very glad that you accepted to come through and get to share your personal story with us as well. Thank you for inviting us into your life and also helping people realize the thing that I keep saying, that even therapists go through things. And we are not people who are immune from being human. So thank you for confirming that by telling us your story and for being so open and generous with it. We really appreciate it. So with that said, I want to say a good evening to everybody who has stuck with us from the very beginning. And as we end this live recording, I hope you've gotten value out of this. Follow the page for more sessions. Next week we'll be having another therapist on the show who will be talking about the kind of work they do as well. And invite a friend. Tell them to come and listen because, as we said, ignorance is no longer an excuse. There's a lot of information in our world right now. So come through, listen, share, like, comment, follow us wherever. Do all those things that you're supposed to do on social media so that you can always get the information once it's updated. And thank you very much for coming through. Regina, this has been absolutely wonderful. And I don't know if you have a parting shot as we end this.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Don't take this for granted. There were a million things. There were a million people, but you saw this name and you picked. And it really makes me feel so validated, and I really appreciate you. And just to comment you on the work you're doing, I think it's really awesome. Keep going, because I feel so nice I found this page, by the way. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Because
Yeah.
tell me, when I go search therapy, I will see something about this page. And I know so many people look for therapists and they don't get to know where they start. So this is a good place to start. And maybe just to edit, I can say going for therapy doesn't mean you're crazy or you're weak. What it
Yeah.
means is you're so courageous that you looked into your life and so you have the potential to do something different. And that's something you should never be ashamed of. So when you seek, assistance with your mental health, it means that you're courageous enough to take the step to redirect your life. So that's
Yeah.
what I can say, guys. And
I think Regina. All right, Regina, thank you. Um, okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I'll see you guys next week. Asanteni sana kwa kukuja. And thank you, Regina. And I wish you nothing but a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. And enjoy your Saturday relaxation day.
thank
Enjoy
you.
it to the fullest.
Thank you so much. It was nice having you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.